Good morning, everyone. It's Yana Martins here, and our 20th episode of Reboot Your Tech Mind, a place for creating positive habits. In this episode, Tracey takes us through a breathing technique to regulate your nervous system, emphasizing the importance of nervous system regulation for health and well-being. Tracey explains how this practice can help you implement new habits, boost productivity, and enhance problem-solving skills. By integrating this technique into your daily routine, you can achieve greater efficiency and overall wellness. So join us this morning for insightful session on how to breathe your way to more balanced and productive life. And don't forget, we're getting together at Moment every Tuesday at 7:45 a.m. for quick practical tips to kickstart your day in the tech world. And please make sure to watch our previous episodes where we covered a range of topics, including time management, goal setting, stress management, productivity hacks, breathing techniques, mindfulness, and so on. So anyway, without any further delays, I'm passing on to Tracey to introduce herself, please.
Hi, Yana. Thank you. And happy to be here. So my name is Tracey, and I worked as an engineer for many years, for nearly 30 years, 25 to 30 years. And one of the things that I discovered more recently, because I've now moved into coaching, I've discovered over the last several years that our nervous system holds the key to a lot of how we are and how we deal with life. And if we just start sharing the slides. So our nervous system really is key to a lot of things. And our nervous system holds an imprint, of everything really that we experience during our lives. And it actually forms a view of how we see ourselves, how we view other people and things around us. So when something happens, particularly when we're very young, it leaves an impression on our nervous system, and our central nervous system, and it creates an image, an imprint, and a picture. And the primary function of our nervous system is to keep us safe. And we all know we've got two parts of our nervous system. We have the parasympathetic, which is that rest and digest, the restful state, and the sympathetic nervous system when we go into that more fight, flight, stress response. But what's happening to a lot of us is we're in a low-level stress response all the time, or the majority of the time. And that can have a longer term effect, both on your physical and emotional well-being. Because if you think about when you're in a stressful state, when you get into that heightened stress state, even if it's a low-level state, you've got the stress hormones running through your body, the cortisol, the adrenaline, and some other things. And if that's happening over a long, constantly over long periods of time, and it can take decades to have an impact. And for some people, it's fine. Others, for me, I developed quite, a chronic health condition in my mid-40s. And a part of that was the fact that I was in a low-level stress response a lot of the time. So our nervous system really is seeking familiarity. It's constantly seeking what's familiar. So the ironic thing is what it sees as familiar is what we experienced during particularly our early years. So for me, I grew up in a very stressful environment. So stress, ironically, was familiar and it was safe. In terms of our nervous system, what's familiar equals safety. So we can kind of, if that's your sort of patterning like it was for me, you're unconsciously, getting yourself into a stress state because that is familiar to you. And it explains a lot of things. Our nervous system, we hold relationships to everything, our relationships to other people, our relationships to, other people could be family or more intimate relationships, our relationship to money, for example, or our relationship to authority or how we believe we should be working. It's all held in our nervous system. And when we're dysregulated, so when we can either get into that heightened hyper state, and I've got a whole list of sort of symptoms there. So that's the heightened stress, the fight flight response, where you might be getting anxious or irritable, or the physical responses of a higher heart rate, etc. You could get that knot in your stomach, all of those sorts of things. But we tend to go into more of a do more mode when we're in that state. But what's often not known too is we can go into a hypo state of regulation, which is the other end of the spectrum. Now, this is less about the fight-flight response, but we go into more of a freeze, and a stasis. So that's where you get the low level, the fatigue. We might have no motivation, and physically we get into a state of low blood pressure. Our heart rate slows down, but you might have low moods, difficulties concentrating, those sorts of things. So when we are dysregulated, and the way we get into dysregulation is our nervous system through our brain is constantly seeking information from the environment to answer the question, is this safe? Yeah. So we're taking in all that information through our five senses, and internally we're trying to answer the question, is this safe? And if, based on whatever we've experienced in the past, which is all deeply embedded in our nervous system, we come up with something that says, this is not safe. For me, often it was just a tone of voice. Someone would use a particular tone of voice, which would activate something from my past and put me into that, this is danger state. Yeah. As an example, that's what can happen. And it often is things that we're not really aware of as well. But when we can actually regulate and go more back into our parasympathetic state more often, and we're not designed to be in that state all the time. Stress is, and getting into a heightened state is useful. It's useful to get things done, but we just don't want to be spending our lives in that state. So, but when we're more regulated, we create safety. Yeah. We create that safety in our body, that the things happening outside of us are not a threat. And we can cope more effectively with emotions, with stressful situations. We're more creative. We have more clarity and calm. We're more curious and open. And that's where, you expand your capacity for creativity, for critical thinking, for solving those problems that we need to solve during the day, as well as the fact that you're more engaged and present. Yeah. And I love this saying, you are a human being, not a human doing. We tend to be in that state of needing to do. But unless we're doing it from a state of being able to continually regulate and create that safety within ourselves, we're going to be doing for the sake of doing and not actually achieving, if that makes sense. So I'm going to quickly take you through an exercise now. And this is something I learned from a lady called Dr. Kim Duramo, who is a mind-body physician in the US. She terms it ABC. So it's awareness, breath, and choice. And this is something you can do throughout the day, is just start to bring awareness. Yeah. What am I feeling? Yeah. How am I feeling? What am I sensing? Am I tensing my shoulders? Am I clenching anywhere? Yeah. What am I thinking? What's going on? Just bring that awareness and slow down. And then we go into breath. And I'm going to take you through a particular breath exercise in a moment called the helical breathing. But you can use any breath technique. And I know you've been through a few within this series, the box breath, which I see you've done, is a great one. But any particular breath exercise will work. Just simply sitting still and slowing down your breath. Making your inhales and exhales a lot longer is perfect as well. And then after that, when you're calmed down, you've gotten to your parasympathetic nervous system, then you've got the choice. What else do I need right now? So mindful of time. The other thing I'm going to say is when we're in a stress state, it actually shows up in our body in tension. So I'm going to ask you now, Yana, just to demonstrate how this works. So we're going to do a little test of our mobility just by putting your arm in any arm is fine, in a cactus position, and without sort of cranking the shoulder, you're just going to allow it to kind of flop forward and see the range of motion. Okay, so you can see the difference there between Alana and myself. We're going to come back. We'll do the breath exercise quickly and see, hopefully, how that mobility changes. So what I'm going to do is to ask you to put your left ankle over your right. And this is a bit of a funky one because it actually does some neural repatterning. And your right arm just to rest it on your left thigh. And then your left arm's going behind your head. And you're just going to turn slightly to the left, not cranking it, just opening up your chest. And we're going to breathe now. We're going to inhale for 3, hold for 5, and out for 8. We'll do that 3 times. So inhale for 3, 2, 1. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And out for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In for 3. Hold for 5. Out for 8. One more time. In for 3. Hold for 5. And out for 8. And just take one. You can let your arms down. Just take one nice big deep breath in. And hopefully you're breathing 2 down into your belly, into the back lower ribs, not into the chest. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. But now if we just have a look and test how our mobility is now, we do that. Cactus arm, just allow it to flop. You can see for me, there is a slight difference. Did you notice the difference?
Yes.
Maybe a small one, yeah? And for me, I think I went from about here to here.
I think I went from here to here.
Yeah. So what's happening is when we're in that stress state.
It's amazing how much my shoulder more stiff.
And when we're in that stress state, one of the things our body does is kind of put on this protective armor, which shows up in that stiffness, that mobility. Yeah.
Guys, all go to the mirror now.
Yes. Try it out.
Go to the mirror and try it up and see how stiff your arms today, how much it's holding on in your body.
Yeah. I think that's a really great way just to see the impact when we get that physical response, because that tension is an indication of, the stress we're holding. When we can relax and let that go, open up our body more, then we allow more of the creativity, the critical thinking. We're allowing more oxygen to the important parts of our body, like our brain, where we can think more clearly, instead of going to all of the extremities, which it does when we get into a sympathetic response. Yeah. So
it's incredible how those little exercises can create so much difference. And there is a range, obviously, of different exercises out there. And Tracey mentioned, that the box breathing and the other one. And I think it's just trying out and see what works for you. Doesn't matter which exercise you do, just do something. Yeah.
Even if it's just a walk in nature, sometimes that can actually just be what you need. Yeah. Some people really respond to nature.
Yes, yeah, and remembering just lowering down those constant inflammation in our body. Yeah, so if we always tense, always feel like we stress, it just creates that constant inflammation, and it can't lead to anything good. Come on, no. We all know it.
Definitely not.
Yeah. And yes, and I guess the most exciting thing, it doesn't take that long. It only takes few minutes of your time that can make actually the difference of your emotional state, of the state of your nervous system, that actually can help you to go through the day easier.
Exactly. And you want to be able to just check in regularly, okay? Because we will quite often, particularly when you first start this, you'll get back into that sort of stress, tense state probably quite quickly. So it is a case of regularly checking in, do that awareness. What am I thinking, feeling, sensing? And
not just wait till you go on holidays and you just totally collapse on the holidays.
Or get sick. Often people will get sick when they start to relax.
Yes, because the body finally responded. Yes, 100%. Thank you, Tracey. Thank you for your insights today. So I'm just gonna now every morning go to the mirror and see where my arm is.
And breathe and reset.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And guys, thank you so much for joining. Make sure to say hi in the comments and share the video with those who need to hear this. And make sure to watch the previous replays with other techniques and see what works for you. Thank you again, Tracey, and we'll see everyone next time.
You're welcome. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.